The storm was so violent it felt alive, hurling sheets of freezing rain across the empty streets. Streetlights flickered as if shivering, and every gust of wind roared like a warning. Most people had run for shelter long before the sky split open, but a small figure pushed through the darkness, soaked from head to toe, clutching a bundle so tight her knuckles had turned white. Aria's breath came out in sharp, trembling bursts. Her clothes were thin, the kind you wear when you don't have options, not when you choose them. The rain had soaked through the fabric until it clung to her like ice. But she barely noticed her own cold. All her attention was on the baby pressed against her chest, wrapped in scraps of cloth that were no match for the night's brutality. The little girl, no older than a few months, whimpered weakly, each sound quieter than the last. That terrified Arya more than the storm. Loud cries meant life, quiet ones meant danger. She whispered into the baby's damp hair, "Stay with me, Lily, please, just a little longer." Her voice cracked, but she kept walking. She had found Lily abandoned under the bridge, left there as if she were nothing. Arya could still see the moment she spotted the tiny bundle by the riverbank, shivering alone. She didn't think, she just grabbed her and ran, trying to shield her with her own body as the storm worsened. Now, hours later, her legs felt like they were made of stone. Her shoes squished with every step, torn soles slapping against puddles. She wiped her face, unsure if the drops were rain or tears. People had passed her earlier, some glanced, most avoided her entirely. No one wanted to stop for a homeless girl carrying a baby in the middle of a storm. She almost collapsed when she reached a high iron gate, behind which stood a massive mansion glowing with warm light. A black luxury car was pulling out, headlights slicing through the rain and illuminating her like a ghost. She flinched and staggered back. The car braked suddenly, tires skidding on the wet pavement. The door opened and a man stepped out. Tall, sharply dressed, with an air that screamed wealth and power. Arya froze. Men like him didn't talk to girls like her. But then his eyes moved to the baby in her arms, and something shifted in his face, concern, shock, urgency. "Are you all right?" he shouted over the wind. Arya tried to answer, but her jaw trembled so violently the words slipped out broken. "She's sea cold. I can't, she needs help." He approached her quickly, unbothered by the storm soaking his expensive coat. Without a moment's hesitation, he removed it and wrapped it around both her and the baby. Warmth flooded her like a miracle she didn't trust. "What's your name?" he asked. "Arya." "And the baby?" "Lily, someone left her. I couldn't walk away." The man looked at her with an expression she had never seen directed at her before, respect, disbelief, and something fiercely protective. He extended his hand. "Come inside. Both of you." Arya hesitated for only a second, then stepped forward into a world that would change her life. Warmth hit Arya like a wave the moment she stepped inside. The mansion's entrance glowed with soft golden lights, the marble floors polished enough to reflect her dripping silhouette. She stood awkwardly near the doorway, afraid to move, afraid to touch anything, afraid she didn't belong in a place that looked like a dream someone else owned. Ethan, the man who had brought her in, didn't waste a second. He spoke with calm urgency into his phone, calling his private doctor as he guided Arya toward a plush sofa near the fireplace. Flames crackled brightly, and for the first time that night, Lily's tiny body stopped shaking. Arya hovered protectively, terrified that someone would try to take the baby away. A housekeeper rushed in with towels and blankets. She paused, startled at the sight of Arya, drenched, young, shivering, then at the fragile baby pressed to her chest. But Ethan's firm voice snapped her out of it. "She's with me. Get more blankets. And hot tea." Arya wasn't used to people helping her. Her muscles stayed tight, her shoulders stiff, ready to bolt at the slightest threat. She tried to dry Lily first, rubbing the baby's tiny hands gently, whispering to soothe her. The housekeeper returned and handed her a soft, warm blanket. Arya hesitated before taking it, as if afraid it might somehow be taken back. The woman's expression softened, she placed it directly over Lily instead. Minutes later, the doctor arrived, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a leather medical bag. He knelt beside Arya, introducing himself gently before examining the baby. Arya held her breath, every second stretching like hours. "She's cold, but she's strong," the doctor finally said. "You got her here just in time. A little longer in the storm and," he didn't finish. "He didn't need to." Arya felt her knees weaken with relief. The doctor checked her next. "You're exhausted," he murmured. "When was the last time you slept? Or ate?" She flinched, embarrassed, unsure how to answer. Ethan stepped in before she had to. "Prepare a guest room. Something close to my daughter's," he instructed. "And bring food. Real food, not snacks." Arya's eyes widened. "A guest room? That couldn't be right." I'm not staying," she said quietly. "Just, let Lily get better. Then we'll go." Ethan looked at her, not unkindly, but with a seriousness that silenced the room. "You walked through a storm carrying a baby that isn't even yours," he said. "You didn't abandon her. I'm not about to abandon you." His daughter, a little girl with curious brown eyes, peeked from the staircase. She stared at Arya, then at Lily, then whispered, "Daddy, can they stay?" Arya felt her throat tighten. She wasn't used to kindness from adults, much less from children. Ethan didn't answer his daughter yet. He was watching Arya, waiting, giving her space to trust him. The fire crackled softly. For the first time in years, Arya felt something unfamiliar blooming in her chest: safety. Like maybe, just maybe, the nightmare she had been running from was finally over, or at least, someone was willing to fight it with her. Days slipped by, each one gentler than the last. The storm had faded, but the memory of that brutal night lingered in Arya's bones. She had expected to be thrown out once Lily was safe, expected the warmth and softness of this house to disappear like all good things usually did. But instead, Ethan insisted she rest, eat, stay close. His daughter, Mia, clung to Arya's side as if she were an old friend instead of a stranger who'd arrived drenched on their doorstep. Lily recovered quickly, her cries growing stronger, her tiny fists waving with new energy. Every time she laughed or reached out for Arya, Ethan found himself watching with quiet astonishment. There was something about the way Arya cared, protective, instinctive, desperate but gentle, that tugged at something deep in him. She wasn't just a girl off the streets, she was someone who had more love in her heart than most people he knew in the polished world he lived in. One afternoon, Arya was in the kitchen helping the chef slice vegetables. She wasn't good at it, her hands shook, and she kept apologizing for dropping things. But the chef smiled and guided her hand, patient with her in a way people rarely were. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching her try, watching her laugh nervously when she sliced a carrot unevenly. She looked younger when she smiled, like the 16-year-old she truly was, not the girl who had survived far too much alone. Mia burst in, running straight to Arya. "Lily's awake. She's asking for you," she said, though babies didn't ask for anyone. But Arya laughed softly and dried her hands before following her upstairs. Ethan trailed behind them, unable to keep himself from hovering near her. When Arya entered the nursery, Lily reached for her instantly, tiny fingers curling around the air. Arya lifted her with ease, pressing a kiss to her forehead. It was a simple gesture, but it hit Ethan like a blow. His home had been filled with silence for years, routine, order, success, but not warmth. Watching Arya with his daughter and with the baby she had saved, he realized how empty the mansion had become. How empty he had become, without even realizing it. Arya turned, noticing him standing there. "Is something wrong?" she asked quietly, her voice soft, unsure, always expecting blame even when she'd done nothing but good. He shook his head. "No. Nothing's wrong. He stepped closer, voice lower, honest. I've never met anyone like you. Her eyes widened, panic flickering across her face like she was ready to run at the first sign of complications. Ethan softened his tone. You don't have to be afraid here. Arya swallowed hard, glancing down at Lily, then at Mia curled up beside her. I'm not used to staying anywhere, she whispered. People don't keep me. Ethan's heart clenched. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. You saved Lily's life, he said. And in a way, you brought something back into this house that I thought I'd lost a long time ago. Arya looked up, confused. What? Family, he said simply. Her breath hitched, eyes filling, but she didn't look away this time. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like someone passing through. She felt seen. Wanted. Safe. And Ethan knew, in that quiet moment, that he wasn't just helping her survive, he was letting her change his life too.